நம் நாட்டின் வளத்தை பற்றி நம் பாரதியார் ஒரு பாடல் உண்டு. தோட்டத்திலே மத கூட்டத்திலே பனி ஈட்டத்திலே பயிர் ஊட்டத்திலே தேட்டத்திலே அடங்காத நதியின் சிறப்பினிலே உயர்ந்த நாடு இந்த பாரத நாடு. We from SREC welcome everyone for attending this event. We welcome our principal ma'am, other faculty from our college, and our speaker of the day, Mr. Ramkumar. He is a principal engineer, automation, Molat, Singapore. He is a 94-98 prepared department alumnus of our college. அதை பற்றி சொல்லணும்னா நம்ம காலேஜ் மெயின் பில்டிங் கூட என்ட்ரு ஆன உடனே சொல்லும் அங்கே இருக்க போர்டு. அது இருக்க முதல் பேரே அவர் தான். நம்ம பேட்சோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பேட்ச் பெஸ்ட் அவுட். சிங்கப்பூர்லேருந்து பத்மஸ்ரீ அவங்க தான் அவரை நமக்கு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. அவர் சொல்லும் போதே ஒரே சின்ன பையன் தான் சொன்னாங்க, அதெல்லாம் அஜித் மாதிரி இருக்காதுன்னு சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு ஃபோட்டோவும் அனுப்பிச்சிருந்தாங்க. அது அப்படி தான் இருந்தார். His topic for the day, Industry 4.0, Rise for the Machines. The rise of the machines. இவர் டாபிக்கோட ஒரே வழியில் இந்த வெபினார் முடிச்சுட்டார். இண்டஸ்ட்ரி 4.0ங்கிறத பார்த்து பயப்பட ஒன்றும் இல்லை. இது 17 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடியே வந்தது தான், டெர்மினேட்டர் 3. இட் இஸ் சச் அ ஓல்டு கான்செப்ட். I am here to clear it for you. அப்படின்னு பேச வராது Mr. Ramkumar. Anna, please you can start.
All right. So good evening to everyone. I'm from 94-98 batch, like I was introduced. I'm trying to give a short intro plus where we are with respect to Industry 4.0 in the current scenario. So I mean, we talk about a lot about Industry 4.0. I mean, almost everybody talks about 4.0, but what is it really about, right? So it's effectively just a phase in the industrial revolution which we have been for the past 200 years. It's part of the industrial revolution. The difference is now it is more focused and the real-time data that is going to be used for better information and better actions that needs to be taken for the machines. So that's basically broadly just a phase. It's also a vision. It visualizes about connecting physical industrial items, assets, with the digital technologies that we to form what is called a cyber physical system. And it's not just about technology. It's also the way we are going to run our businesses. We're going to operate our businesses, and how are they going to grow going forward. So it's encompassing all this stuff. And the ultimate goal of having this 4.0 is all about autonomous decision-making process, which means machines are able to perform decisions based on the information they already have, so that they are able to cope up or adapt to the fast-changing demands of the market. The market is really volatile right now, so to cope up, to adapt to that, be able to rise to the occasion, and that is what this whole 4.0 is all about. I'll stop there. If you have any questions, please let me know.
No, sorry, thanks.
Okay, all right. So if I'll just go a little bit into the origins and the history of 4.0. So effectively, if you see, 4.0 is actually a progression. When we started off the first industrial revolution, like slightly more than 200 years ago, the steam and the water power actually started off onto our mechanization journey. And of course, the Industry 2.0 evolved into the assembly line manufacturing processes that we use even today. Subsequently moved into the third industrial revolution, which is on the electronics. And that helped a lot into the automation of assembly processes, which was taken over from Industry 2.0. The Industry 4.0 is the next step, where we are, like I mentioned before, we are actually bridging it's an interconnection between the physical assets and the digital systems that are available in the market. So that's the progression about the industrial revolutions. You might have noticed that 4.0, Industry 4.0 and fourth industrial revolution are used interchangeably. They're not necessarily the same, but it's an idea which is interchangeable and can be used together because the ideas are the same. Those are the four industrial revolutions. We are into 4.0, and people are already talking about 5.0, which I think is still in progress in terms of what is the definition for that. But very soon we will go into 5.0. The good or the interesting part to note is the time frame between two revolutions, the gap has actually narrowed very, very fast. So the first between the first and second was almost 100 years gap, and from 3 to 4 is hardly 30-40 years. 5, it's probably less than 10-15 years. So the industry is evolving very rapidly, and we'll really have to catch up. So a little bit about 4.0 when it started. In 2006, the German industry, the German government actually presented its high-tech strategy at that time. And that was the first time this 4.0 was mentioned. And this was more towards a German kind of approach, which they wanted within their industries, within the German industry. But eventually in 2011 and then subsequently in 2013, it was adapted as a broader model, which actually took off, and then almost all the countries actually started to take this as a platform and then work towards that. So that's the 4.0 starting. So coming into some of the technologies. So 4.0 is a very broad subject, and these are some of the core technologies that are part of Industry 4.0. Some of them are very broad-based, like for example, cloud computing is actually quite broad-based. So it includes many things. I will just pick up a couple of things here to talk about, to give a little bit more details. One is augmented reality. Virtual reality are two things which are increasingly being adopted by the industry, mainly for training purposes. Given the current scenario where lack of manpower and really having skilled people and the change of the market, AR and VR are typically used for training people. So in my own company, we have developed some of the AR technologies which have the tables that we need. So what we typically use Microsoft HoloLens and with Microsoft Dynamics. That's for training our operators. So that's AI. Yeah, which I want to talk about is the autonomous robot. Autonomous to be what is called the AGV, the automatic guided vehicles, automated vehicles. But now they are much more intelligent, and we call them the autonomous or the intelligent robots, auto intelligent vehicles. Even this, like in our own factory, we have used this to transport material from multiple points. Previously, AGVs were used only from point to point B, which was like just a shuttle. But right now, with AIVs in the picture, we are able to map multiple pickup points to multiple drop-off points. So this is going to remove a lot of man hours and be able to, as required, when there is a change in requirement on the machines itself. So these are two big things that is really taking off, and they are really helpful on the ground in terms of reducing people, manpower, and using them to do something else. So these are some of the core technologies in the Industry 4.0. I'll stop there for any questions you might have. So again, because I'm from the manufacturing side, I would want to a little bit talk about on the manufacturing and how 4.0 is being used. So for us, we are mainly using 4.0 to enhance our productivity. There was initially we were talking about small increments in productivity, but right now we are talking about a big delta in enhancing our productivity. Automation, of course, and some of the items that we are really keen on working towards, or which we have put in a lot of effort, is in the predictive and smart maintenance services, which means how do we know our machines are able to sustain the current load, and in terms of predictive, not just in terms of actual machine repair, but also in terms of demand forecasting, and how do we match our demand to our capacity and optimize those items as well. So this is the overall stuff that 4.0 is used for in the manufacturing side. Let me just click. Okay, so what are the benefits technically on the manufacturing side for 4.0? One of the primary items that we are looking at for the benefits is the supply chain management and optimization. So currently the supply chain is very discrete. It's a very discrete subsystem, of course, and it's given the disruptions we have right now, it is all the more important that we matched our supply to our demands all the time. So this is something which is very, very beneficial for us. The other one, which I mentioned earlier, is the predictive analytics. And the third one is the asset tracking and optimization, which is effectively the OEE system, so that we are always able to match our demand and capacity so that we can better prepare for resources going forward. So these are all the three main drivers for using 4.0 in the manufacturing side. I want to talk about a little bit on the pre-crisis. Now we have a before and after comparison. Pre-crisis, there was a very cautious approach to implementing 4.0 in many of the items. It was more focused on just sustaining stuff. We are having a very good running business. We just want to make it slightly better, incremental stuff. That is what 4.0 was focused on. And there was no real push for adoption, except in pockets. In some of the countries like Singapore, there was a real push for adoption, but effectively across the board, there was not a real push. So this is kind of a pre-crisis picture of the adoption rates for Industry 4.0. But the post-crisis situation is such that the first priority right now is going to be survival. You go from survival to recovery to BAU. Now, and the goal for most of our manufacturing companies is how do we move to BAU as quickly as possible and at a lower cost. So that is the main focus in the manufacturing industry right now. And because of this, the adoption rates we have seen has increased almost 3 times with respect to what it was pre-crisis in the 4.0 technology. And the post-crisis also has given us a feedback or a realization on the importance of human capital. A lot of people are stuck in different geographies. We are not able to move across, but without them, we still have to find ways to get the same stuff done without reducing the pace. We still have to meet our customers' demand. So it has actually helped us realize the importance of human capital. And this crisis has actually is the first time in the modern manufacturing era where all three, demand, supply, and the workforce, has been hit at the same time. So this has actually crystallized the use of 4.0 to continue our businesses, continue running our businesses, or even meeting demands of the customers, especially in industries like life sciences, biomedical devices, where it's just very hard, so very difficult right now to meet the demand. All right, so the next one, yeah. So I want to talk about a little bit about on what is being done in the Singapore side. In Singapore, there is a government division called the Economic Development Board. What they do is they have come up with something called a Smart Industry Readiness Index, with multiple items that you will be able to map to. And if you look at the structure, the top three main building blocks, process, technology, and organization, is a slightly revised version or a improved version of what we usually talk about: people, process, and technology. So the organization is just about the people. So all these three together and an assessment matrix, if you are able to get out of this, then you will know, the company will be able to know if you are actually ready, or how much ready are you with respect to the 4.0 standards. So this is kind of the world's first self-diagnostic tool. We have not seen this anywhere, but Singapore side, we have this. And a lot of companies have used this to gauge their level of readiness for 4.0 and how they want to move forward. Now, this is just the index. So based on that index, you could get a scorecard like this, which will effectively tell us where we are as a company with respect to each of the structures, each of the pillars, each of the building blocks, and that's something what is called a priority matrix, which is given by the EDB as well, which will then tell us which items do we want to focus on going forward, and those items we can then raise capital, or we can prioritize our spending so that our demands are met. So we got about 200 companies, more than 200 companies who are using this right now. They have already used. So this is a very nice tool to gauge where we are with respect to the 4.0 itself. So going into the future, what we see is that the biomedical, electronics, the automobile sectors will be the drivers of adoption for 4.0. And what we are seeing also is that the digital transformation, the entire 4.0, the whole block, which was just a sufficient condition to run a business, it will become a necessary condition to run a business. Otherwise, we wouldn't just be able to survive in the industry. There is definitely going to be a decoupling of supply chain, given the geographical disruptions and trade and tariff wars, which are affecting our supply chain. So there's going to be decoupling of supply chain. So which means the demand, the need to quickly adapt to supply disruptions are going to be very critical. Given the work from home scenarios right now, the rural urban lines would definitely start to blur, because you could work from anywhere. And then of course the demand dynamics, they're just so volatile right now, and the companies who best adapt to those are the ones who are going to survive. And the final point on 4.0 is the market size is really big, and it is estimated to grow at about $200 billion in the next 3 to 5 years. So it's a huge market. It's a good opportunity for people to get into 4.0 right now, if you have not already done that. And any technology which is related to 4.0 will be the go-to field in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's shifting from traditional models into the digital models, These are all what things are going to be going into the future. And finally, I would just stop here and for any questions, because I'm pretty much on the end of my presentation right now.
So question number one, Nana. So can you please go back to the previous slide, the assessment that you had shown? Yeah, so the EDP, is it only applicable to companies which are based out of Singapore, or having a base in Singapore, or is this assessment available to companies worldwide?
It is available as a document, but I can look at it whether it is available for outside Singapore. But it is definitely available on their website as information. But I am not sure whether they have all the priority matrices available as open to the public.
Okay. Yeah. So on your still one slide before. So if you could go back there.
Yeah.
So I understand that there are 16 different dimensions or end businesses that can focus on, or the segments that these businesses could focus on. Either you could choose this dimension, or a cluster of these dimensions could go into a pillar, or this pillar could completely be into one building block. So for any smart readiness index. So in these dimensions, are there any classification of the skills available? So it would be easier for the institutes to upskill them, or it would be easier for the startups or the existing companies to look in that CIO level, where what kind of upskilling can be done. So is that available anywhere?
Sorry, the last 10 seconds, your voice is breaking. So can you just repeat your question, please?
Okay, it's very simple. Like for all these 16 dimensions, what are the key skills that are required, so that they may be employable either as an employee or a consultant or whatever. So we could upskill, or we could look out for the right workforce.
Okay, all right. So I think this is okay. This basically is a guide. It's a guideline for you to use it to understand where is the company right now with respect to the readiness for 4.0. So what we're talking about is these are focus areas which you want to look into. But this is not related to skill set of people. But you could use this and then define what kind of people you want to get. Okay, for example, in this, right? Like if you look at this slide, it says for especially let me hold on. Okay, if you can see my pointer. So let's say, for example, I would want to talk about the connectivity part of it, right? So if you look at number 7, we have got a score of 1.25. The company shows, the electronics industry overall shows 1.25. So now, if you want to move this 1.25 to say probably 3, right? Then you get people who are skilled in that to bridge that gap to move from 1.5 to 3. That's how this system works.
Okay. No, my more related question was like, if we have specific set of skills for each of the 16 dimensions, it would be easy for us to map. See, for example, like I tell you, shop floor. When you go to the shop floor, it is more of the production technology grads who would really study about the shop floor. Okay.
Correct.
So,
correct.
But if we go to enterprise, so but shop floor is a completely non-tech subject. So how technology comes in here is you bring the right ML enthusiasts, by creating a bridge between the software and the hardware, where both the consultant and the software engineer work together and create that ML structure. So again, the best example of this evolution is all the fulfillment centers that Amazon or the Flipkart has come out with. Okay, so that is where this falls under. So because I've been doing consulting for one of the companies, so even I find this difficult when it comes to finding out the right skills for each of the dimensions. So that is the idea. I just want to know whether you have any place where you can go and refer.
Okay, it's a good point. Skill set. This is an evolving skill set. Actually, it is. You would effectively need to have skill sets on both sides. So, for example, if you are working on the shop floor, you would need some level of expertise on the shop floor as well as on the enterprise side. So there must be you must be starting to have knowledge on two sides so that you are able to bridge the gap. So this is kind of an evolving skill set, but given this structure, I think we are able to train people accordingly, or if you're an employee, you are able to look at this and say, hey, how do I develop my skill set based on this?
Right. Ram, Naveen, this is Satish. This is Satish from the first batch 94 mechanical. Ram, actually, it was a very good overview and nice to see the industrial revolution growth, everything from 1.0 to 4.0, because everybody talks about other revolution. People don't pay much attention to this, which is a very good insight and overview. Thank you for bringing it to the highlight here. Coming back to the question what Naveen was asking, to simplify that, maybe to help for everybody as well, right? See, for example, let's assume an example of our college itself, right? What branches or what departments will fit in each of those boxes, or is a combination of, hey, it's a combination of mechanical, electrical, it's a combination of electrical and computer science. And I think to simplify it, to map these technologies, because I think it requires more than one skill set, right? If you want to fit the requirements, Naveen, to your question, I think it may not be one specific skill set. It's just a combo of multiple skill sets to do this. So I think that's where Naveen is getting to, right? In terms of, hey, if I have to talk to students here, talk about 4.0 and how to equip themselves, what should be prepared? Just trying to simplify it. So, I think it will help.
So, like I mentioned earlier, it's an evolving skill set actually right now. Like you rightly mentioned, there is no one person or few people who are able to cut across all of this as of now. But it is. We will have to work towards getting the skill set cultivated among our.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Satish, Ram and Naveen, this is Alamelu. Probably to, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yeah. Probably to supplement the discussions after the presentation of Ram and questions of Satish and Naveen, what I feel is that this we very frequently discuss in different forums at the institution level as well. Where now we have started preparing the mechanical engineers also towards certain basic requirements of Industry 4.0, where a mechanical engineer would also know a little bit of IoT, a little bit of digital technology, cyber security and all that. So that at least to begin with, he is part of this matrix, if not an in-depth knowledge in each of the domain, because it is not possible. To put it probably in a different way, what we are trying to do is make all the branches of engineering and technology as interconnected as possible, as interdisciplinary as possible, so that people are prepared for what is coming up in the future. We have started our efforts and attempts in this direction. Ramkumar's slides were really wonderful. I don't remember to have met Ramkumar. Have you met Ramkumar?
We've not met. But
Ramkumar?
I've seen you during last year. No, we have not met.
During your batch reunion, probably?
No. The 25th year celebration.
Okay. It was a wonderful presentation, Ram. Probably, I think Murugarajan should now be thinking of inviting you for a presentation to our students, particularly to the new batch of students of robotics and automation who are into the second year of their study. Murugarajan, I think you are there.
Yes, ma'am. We are having a planning, ma'am. Maybe I have to contact after some point of time with Ramkumar.
Fine. It was very good, Ramkumar. It was very, very good. Very neat, clear presentation. It was good.
Ram, this is Sarath here. I have a question for you. Okay. See, in one of the slides, you were referring about the productivity with respect to the automation, right? In the banking domain where I'm working in, we call it as productivity only when we do the automation of delivering the environment in probably 10 minutes in half an hour's time. That we call it as automation, or that we call it as productivity, right? And we cannot allow number of environments to be built in no time. That would kill us too, right? When we have multiple applications connecting, interconnected between the systems, right? My question is, when it comes to the version 4, you are referring to productivity. What is the productivity in your world called as?
A manufacturing perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. So from a manufacturing perspective, it is
your voice is totally breaking here.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Ram. You suddenly were lost, but now, yes.
Yeah, because I changed my headset. Okay. So to answer your question, sir, the point is just like in finance industry or any other industry where you want to deliver items from point A to point B, there are multiple steps in between. Productivity always for us is trying to reduce the number of steps so that we move from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So from a manufacturing perspective is this, how do I manufacture this item from currently I'm taking 30 seconds to manufacture this. How fast can I manufacture this going forward? Which means, can I bring it down to 20 seconds? Can I bring it down to 30 seconds? That's one part of the productivity. The other part, which is the long-term goal, is something called lights out factory, which effectively means there is nobody in the factory and the machines run by themselves. That's the what you call the epitome of productivity in terms of where we want to go in the manufacturing side. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. There's one more point adding to it.
Sure.
Right. So when it comes to the automations, especially the machineries, right? So you have certain data points today, or probably 10 years ago you follow, right? Such as temperature, monitoring the temperature, monitoring the downtime, right? My question is towards predictive analytics, right? What are the new data points have been identified within machineries that really helps bringing down your overall lead time.
Okay, for predictive analysis, correct?
Correct.
So there are two halves of analysis. One is on the maintenance side.
Mm-hmm.
Now is we are looking at, like for example, if you got a servo motor,
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at the temperature within a servo motor to see how is it performing. Previously, it was not part of the data point.
Okay.
Going down to the component level, for a servo motor, we even do vibration dynamics. We look at the vibration analysis and see how does vibration change over a period of time, and how does it affect the machine as well.
Birds chirping in the background.
That's effect of COVID, Navni. The trees are enjoying.
Exactly.
Exactly. Which I've never heard in Chennai. So I'm Tangamalar.
Oh, that's nice. So, how's Chennai now, Akka?
The situation outside is scary. We hear a lot of things. We haven't been out anytime. So being safe inside.
That's okay. Be inside only. And 4.0 is going to stay. It is not going to be a quick leap like how it happened from 3.0 to 4.0. So that is what the experts say. That's what.
Yeah, but one thing what Ram was mentioning, the adoption rates have increased.
Exactly.
What he has mentioned is threefold. It is really good. Some of our suppliers, when the demand is high, they could not get the raw material, but they still met the production. We being in, I'm from the tractor industry where we are producing from May. So the production is really good, but we need the components. Like we also delivered the tractors through train. A lot of new modes are coming in. So the adoption rates are really good. So I think the changeover time also will be very less from like 3.0 to 4.2.
What is the brand of the tractors that you guys manufacture?
Massive Ferguson.
Sorry?
Massive Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson. Okay.
Yeah.
Naveen, I'm Murugarajan.
Yes, sir. Very good evening.
I think
Things are fine,
Tangamalar
sir.
present.
Murug, சொல்லுங்க Murug.
நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா? Sorry.
நல்லா இருக்கேன். All good.
Things are going on in Chennai, madam. Everything's fine.
Yeah, all fine. வீட்டுக்குள்ள இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் safe. So open ஆனாதான்
Yes, ma'am. Kandipa. We have to stay safe at least for another this pandemic come down.
Yeah.
Another 2-3 months probably.
Vasanth.
Good evening. How's the department?
Yeah.
So Ram is in. I think.
Yeah. Hi. Hello. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Is it better right now? I hope it's better right now.
It
is better, Ram. It is better.
Okay. Sorry for the technology is always a challenge.
And you are talking about industrialization version 4.
Yes, absolutely. So that's
5.0.
yeah.
That's why you're one version behind.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm Dr. Murugarajan. I'm a junior, I think, from Mechanical Engineering Department, 1999.
Right.
I think you know me. But anyway, my question is, which particular part is very important when talking about the automation, especially Industry 4.0? We have been talking about parts of automation. One is hardware automation and software automation. So which we have to concentrate, which is a major concern in coming years?
Major concern. Okay, it all depends on the industry. Different industries look at it differently. So for me, because I'm from the manufacturing sector, I can answer you from that perspective. For manufacturing, it is effectively both. We need to have very good hardware automation as well and very good software automation. Previously, they were both in different spheres. The key now is how do we connect them and make sure that they work in sync with each other. That's the thing which we are working towards.
Oh,
how do they work together? Hardware and software, how do they work together? So it is all about the integration between the two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Which is the major factor I think will affecting the industry 4.0? Because still we are been talking about last 15 years when Vasanth Kumar when started with Terminator. We have seen 1997. I think it maybe if I'm right. So 4.0, the industry systems only sensors, most and sensor data only. So how far maybe that my question is.
Okay, so the key always was we were some of the sensor datas were localized. They were very localized and they were only used for, say, for example, moving a cylinder or an actuator, right? So that's all it was. That's all it was earlier. Now that information, that data is actually moved to slightly at a higher level, and combining that information with the information from another machine, you connect the two and then say how these two machines work together. So from a localized automation, so the automation previously was very localized within a given machine. Today is about connecting two machines or multiple machines in a line to communicate together and then work towards it. So which means if I'm going to see, for example, from a planning perspective, I'm an operations guy, I want to plan my output for the line. And if I know that there is going to be downtime which is being planned for it much ahead, then I can plan my capacity, my output, the capacity according to that.
Okay.
The key is not just data; it is how that data is to be used as information for decision making. That is the change.
Yeah. So how far the prognostics will come in picture when talking about the operations point of view or the processing point of view?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Prognostics tools, processes using the
diagnostic tools.
Prognostics, both together.
Yeah, so they've evolved much they're very robust right now. So part of it was I've answered in the predictive analysis side. The predictive analysis, previously we started off building models outside the machine, right? Now what has happened is component makers have started to build equipment which is much more intelligent, which means the predictive analysis part is actually built into the component itself right now, which means the component is going to tell us, right, that is some of the components which we have right now. It is telling us, hey, you don't even need to do the analysis. The component is telling me that you have to change this, or this is trending towards failure in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's what the prognostics will come in the picture there. If it thinks, yeah.
So the models are much more robust. The predictive models, the data models that we are coming up with are much more robust. Previously, it was a big chunk. Now it is much more modular, and it helps because it is more targeted towards specific components.
Okay. Thanks, Ram.
Yep.
Ram, Tangamala here.
Yes,
this may be out of 4.0.
Okay.
But a general question. I see many companies not willing to move out of the supply chains from China.
Right.
How is it affected in Singapore? The dependency is high. And how?
Okay, so it depends on the company you're working for. If you're a company which is more American based or Europe based, there is not a written rule yet, but there is a shift towards diversifying the supply chain. But if it is a localized industry, like for example, if a company which is a Singapore based company, they wouldn't want to change their supply chain yet. That's what we're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's all about diversifying. Even within China, they are starting to diversify their own supply chain with respect to components that they buy from American companies or outside of the European Union as well.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes, because our company is based in multiple geographies, including America, China, and Southeast Asia, and India as well. So we are seeing the dynamics. Certain customers want to be procuring only from a supply chain which is based outside of China, and there are some certain Chinese customers who want their products to be manufactured only in China. So
Okay.
yeah.
Lot of things going to that. Huh?
Yes. So
Yeah.
supply chain decoupling, that's why I mentioned in my earlier slide, the decoupling of supply chains is something which is a given fact, which is going forward. It is going to happen, or it's already happening. So it no longer the traditional supply chains are going to hold good. It will be broken down and it will be more localized, or you will diversify into a non-combative kind of environments.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Ram.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey Ram, this is Surya, your classmate.
Hey Surya, how are you?
Doing all right, man. So
Good,
it's
good, good.
nice information. Nice information. It's a presentation. It's
That's
awesome. I
good.
just wanted to say that.
That's great.
One question I have it, to understand the current situation in your area, the space.
Uh-huh.
The software industry, it has, way to manage this pandemic, the remote working.
Yes,
Everything is good, but wanted to understand your industry, how you are managing this situation, and what are the challenges you are having it, and how you are going to mitigate
right.
down the line to
Good question,
improve the
actually.
productivity. Yeah.
It's a good question. Actually, we are actually realizing that the crisis is the mother of all inventions. We are actually realizing it right now. I don't think we have realized this in a much bigger space before this. But yes, there's a lot of stuff which we are looking at and seeing what kind of engineers, what kind of people should be on the floor, though what kind of people need not be on the floor and still be able to get that stuff done. Um, and especially for the manufacturing industry, it is very, very new because traditionally nobody wanted to work from home. It was the percentage of adoption for working from home for manufacturing is probably 10%. But right now, since we are forced to do it, we are actually realizing that it is much more productive. We are getting more things done, and going forward, I see that uh, the it's at least like 40-50% of the workforce will be working from home from a manufacturing perspective. Does that answer your question, Surya?
Yeah, I'm good, but wanted to understand the roadmap or the adaptation. So you talked about many things, So if you look at the software industry, so we have the lot of tools. So we have a collaborative platform. We have the what we call a remote working session and something like that. We can easily manage the productivity, the outcome. So in fact, whatever you said, it's right. The productivity has been increased, especially in the software industry. So working from home improve a lot of the outcome. I could say that, but in your space. So it's a completely manual dependency. A lot of the resource has to be on site and working
Yes,
on the machine
yes,
and working on
absolutely.
the outcome. It's not easy to provide the outcome. Just wanted to understand how the productivity has been impacted, and how the productivity it's going to be down the line, and is there a roadmap how you can manage the challenges down the line.
Right. Actually, right now it's a very evolving situation, but we don't have a focused roadmap. But what we are seeing again is we uh, we are only looking at people who have to be 100% have to be, without which, like for example, there is an operator who's running the machine who has to be on the line, who has to be on the shop floor. So we will still make sure that he's on the line. But there are many people like engineers like ourselves who
who can work from home most of the time. So then we move everything back to home. But then the challenge is, how do we make sure things are working as per we want on the shop floor? So what is happening right now is a lot of machines are getting connected to the network. Previously, most of the machines were discrete machines. They were by themselves in a shell. They were islands. Today, almost all the machines are connected upwards. So which means from home, I'm actually able to access into the machine and look at information, what is going on inside the machine. So an operator would call us or the maintenance engineer or one of us and the engineering side to call us and say, we are having this problem on this machine. It is not, some of the motors is not working or the actuators are not working. We will be able to get into the machine remotely, understand what is happening. We have even installed cameras on some of the machines, which means we can get live feeds as well. And we will be able to talk to the operators or the technicians on the line to get it done. So that's how the progression is going. And some of the other tools, like I mentioned earlier, is the augmented reality tools is something which is the adoption is getting very high. So you can communicate directly to the operator when the operator is wearing the augmented reality glasses. So we are able to communicate to them and tell them what needs to be done, what cannot be done. So they will be the eyes and ears of the machine, and then we can give instructions to them on how to work or how to make sure that the machine is up and running again.
That's really, a good information. And also, I could say that, it's future looks very promising, and looking forward, Ram. It's an amazing presentation.
Absolutely.
I could say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being I'm also in the the automation industry, especially on the the IT side. But I see a lot of things. We are working with the manufacturing sector and the other sector,
Right.
automating and applying the predictive analysis and helping AI into picture.
Yes,
Is going to
absolutely.
be a mission driven, the industry down the line. So
Absolutely.
I absolutely see that it is going towards that. Thank you.
To give you an example, since we talked about that, I just wanted to give an example then. Siemens has a tool, a software tool, which can do mechanical design, which helps us do 3D drawings and build the machine. They also have a software which is used to write the control side, the PLC program for the machine as well. So what they have done is they have integrated the two of them, which means I could build a machine in 3D. I could write a program, connect the two, and simulate the entire machine on a computer before actually I build the machine. That's where they are right now. They call it the digital twin right now. So you could actually simulate everything on a computer before you actually go and build the machine. So your time to deliver the machine previously used to be 10, 12 weeks. Right now, once your design is absolutely done, you could deliver within 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So that's how things are changing right now.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. We also use the model, the robotic model,
Right.
feeding the, the data and, the application into it before we build the actual, the endpoint. Yes, you're right.
In fact, they are so advanced right now that you could take in data points live from an existing machine. And
That's
then, yes, it's amazing right now. I mean, yeah, people can come up with so many new things which was unimaginable few years ago. Yeah.
That's right.
Hey Ram,
Yes.
Satya here.
Yes, yeah.
Quick. Hey, given that you're giving this presentation to the SREC college,
Right.
as you look into your company as well as the company that you consult, what are the qualities that you would be looking for from college students that you would want to hire, keeping an eye on Industry 4.0?
Okay, it's a good question. Typically, what we would want to see from a young people who come out of industry from the colleges, even in Singapore, is this: do they have a perspective of what they have learned, and are they able to see perspectives of other disciplines as well? some of the challenges we have seen is, if I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm so focused on mechanical engineering that I have no clue what a sensor does as part of the system. That has been the challenge which we are seeing right now. So if an engineer who's coming out of college has a perspective, so if he's core in a mechanical guy, if he knows 80% of his mechanical stuff, but 20% of interdisciplinary stuff, that will help him grow faster in the in an industry right now. In fact, if that is more than 20%, it's even better, because the way we see it is there's going to be a lot more generalists required than specialists required in the industry.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, did
Hi, Ram, Anthony here.
Yes, Anthony, yeah.
Okay, so now we are talking about like 4.0 and then like right now with the 2020. So assume that in future, so is there anything called like 5.0?
Yes,
I what is the future perspective? So what
absolutely.
is the change? What are the new things going to come in?
Yes. So
what is the focus? And
5.0 is already in the works.
Right.
People are already writing up specifications for that. But if I have to tell you in one line on what 5.0 is about, 4.0 is about connecting digital and physical assets. 5.0 is going to be how people work along with machines. That's what 5.0 is going to be about. How do people and machines work together in a place? That's what 5.0 is going to be.
6.0 is going to be Terminator. So machines will take over.
World Terminator.
Actually, I would say that we are going more towards a matrix kind of structure rather than Terminator side.
So it's to add to Ramanna's point and to answer Antonina's point. I recently have been doing consulting for one company. I cannot name it anyways. It is like 4.0 is going to stay here at least for the next 10 years. So 25 years is the lifespan that was given in a few conferences by the Chancellor of Germany when she made the statement to answer one of the things. So it's going to stay for at least the next 10 years. So in that 10 years, what is going to happen is a lot of chipsets are going to evolve so much that you could get a small computer that could be fitted in a machine, which is happening now, no doubt. But just imagine like a OnePlus Snapdragon 645 processor, which is with tremendous cooling capacity, getting fitted into a CNC machine. So that level of work may happen. And again, I'm saying may. Okay, so
Naveen, sorry, Naveen, I have to correct you there. It is happening actually.
Yeah, it is happening. Meaning, I'm saying like it will get perfected. Meaning, you would get ready-made modules at a throwaway price. Like you get a Raspberry Pi today for 2,500 or 3,000 rupees. So you would get modules at that price. So which you can really get and fit. So here, what the challenge, main challenge that is there is like is the cyber security part, where it has been a challenge even before, but now it is becoming even more challenging. So the cyber security market is going to grow multifold. Even if you're going to just put a headline like cyber security expert in your LinkedIn title, you will start getting calls that hey, you know what, I'll hire you. So even now it is happening, that will happen in the near future also. So these standards would get more defined and redefined and refined, I would say. And when it comes to the 5.0, I don't foresee the 5.0's initial draft to be presented at least till, given the current situation, I would say at least till 2025 or 2030. So by then, I will be as old as you guys have today, and I would be saying like 5.0 is this, and I have seen from 3.0 when I was in college and 4.0 when I was kind of a consultant. Now I'm overseeing 5.0, like the same kind of a presentation I am seeing in the next 5 to 10 years. That is what I would say. So interconnecting of these machines has got a lot of challenges which will be solved. At the same time, work from home would be, would be very easy for the future generation, the generation or the millennials or whatever they call it, because simulation is going to really rule the world. So that is what is my input here, Ram.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Things are very fast right now, and given 5G coming up, network connectivity is going to be even better. And to add to your point on modular computers, which are going to be on the machines. So right now, what we call them as edge computing devices are very much the norm for us, but the capabilities of those will evolve and it will become much more powerful, and all the load basically, instead of being centralized, is going to get distributed into the rest of the machines. Yep.
Yeah, actually, this MEC is going to be one of the recent change, and then people are trying a lot. So especially, I'm working on that area with Cisco. So actually, this edge computing, especially with 5G. So 5G is not going to be like the same like 4G.
No.
Only that speed is up or nothing. So it's all like use case based.
Right.
Right. Especially the particular use case, like some kind of on-demand basis.
Right.
So for suppose if I say one example, like the stadium, suppose, so I want to watch the ball from the umpire's cap, right? Or like a front row if I want to see. So I can request the call, I can request this service. So and then I should be able to watch from that angle. So
right.
From sitting home, I should be able to view from whichever way I want. And that's the idea. So that is one kind of use case, or like the factory of the future. But yeah, obviously this the speed should be the latency should be very less, and that's one thing. But so now actually there is some more discussion happened that like the supply chain. I think after this this issue that our whatever the pandemic or the crisis we are going. So people, every country will think that, so they are going to do everything on their own. That like make in India.
Yes.
Right? So they plan to support stop the dependency from the other countries. So mostly I think that's the I think one thing in mind. So all the people.
Yeah.
Depending on the from China, like the more so they think that 5% I do it locally, and then 50%, and then I will have the dependency with the other countries. So that one kind of the mindset, it's like the coming to all the people.
Very, very rightly said, Prabhu. Yes. In fact, 5.0, the biggest challenge is always is the speed versus the transmission distance, right? So it's definitely going to be need on demand basis only. It cannot be used as a general purpose transmission device.
Right. Yeah. So there was one discussion about the banking. So there is one kind of in the banking. So now the AR VR, the AR based some kind of use cases. Mm-hmm. So you show your face, and then like using the face of the recognition, it takes all the data, and then so the chatbot, or it used to give what is the need, either loan or something. So it immediately fetches all the data, and then say yes or no, and then like fill, and then that's all it's done. So the same way, so what you told about that the machine printing, 3D machine printing.
Right.
So that any of your banking needs, banking service, which will happen within like the same 15 minutes or like 20 minutes, but using AI.
With you, okay.
So that's one use case that so our company is working on, to one vendor. maybe that's one kind of the latest the revolution in the banking industry, I would say, as part of industry 4.0.
4.0. So, every industry is going through that phase to what is that? To bring in technology to improve their systems. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I am Shanmugam of 98-2001 batch.
Yeah, hey Shanmugam, tell me.
It was really a nice presentation and informative one on the current technology.
Sure.
Sir, can you please share your details, your contact details, so that we can contact you further?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Vasanth or Thomas would be able to get you that, because I don't know how to share it with you guys from here.
You can please put it in the chat box so that everyone can take a note of it.
I would rather. Okay, fine.
Or I will contact them. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we can make that happen through the Alumni Association.
You can contact Alumni Association, so we will come back to you.
Okay, that'd be good.
Hello Ram, this is Vasanth, from 1994-98, our batch.
Yes, Vasanth.
Yeah. One question I had,
yes.
I joined the presentation slightly later. So from our college perspective.
You have to say Vasanth. So Vasanth, you have to say first. Don't
Okay,
say
fine.
94, 98.
Noted, Prabhu. Taken. Yeah. So Ram, I am not sure, whether we have touched upon this. So, a lot of great things are happening from our college or, curriculum perspective or from our students' perspective.
Right.
What they have to do, for getting themselves ready to meet these meet these challenges, or how they are prepared for these things.
Okay, absolutely, very good. Actually, okay, so Satya, I think asked a very similar question. Probably I can add more to that. What is perspective? I think currently, if you are only looking at what is inside your curriculum alone, is definitely not going to help you meet the challenges in the industry. There should be a lot more industry engagement via the college or by yourself, and be able to connect what you're actually working on, what you're studying, what you're trying to get done in college, and how is it related to the industry. If a student is able to build that perspective and connect the two sides, I think they will have a better chance of getting into the industry and doing better. Because I think the syllabus of our education systems, I think they're still catching up, which is inevitable. But it's best for the student to actually connect to the live industry and try to understand what is going on and be able to connect the two.
See, if you recollect, when we were studying, being the first batch, we didn't have, many contacts or people who can guide us.
Yes.
Now, fortunately, right, we have 20 batches who have passed out.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
definitely our students, our alumni has reached some good position.
Yes.
So definitely, I think, our college can make use of it. These are some good sessions, Vasanth and Thomas has arranged these sessions. Definitely very good sessions. And our principal has also been very encouraging. I think Vasanth and Thomas, right, you have to take it further also.
Actually, a good point. In fact, we can actually reach out to the alumni and reaching to the industry side. I think using the alumni will be a good move. I mean, if students require, we could actually connect directly with them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So because so we have taken the first step. Next, the few steps that is more important.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And we have a lot of great collective knowledge. Our alumni are working in different industries, great organizations, and definitely.
True.
Hey Ram, this is Sri here. Sri Vidya?
Yes, Vidya, how are you? Yes.
Hey. I just know I don't want to bombard with too many questions, but this is an awesome presentation that you had. And the way you tackle the questions is amazing. So from different perspective, from different industries. I just want to, share my feedback. It was nice.
Thanks. Excellent. I think that's the defense, the answering part is part of the learning you get from corporate.
I'm surprised our own batch had too many questions, but but it was the way you tackled this is great. Yeah.
Sure.
Have a good one.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
So Ram, actually one thing I felt, see all this industrial revolution, right? Like medical side still it's not that so implemented or happened, right? Suppose
Yes.
especially this kind of thing, suppose like the department of like oncology, something else. So still we are like trying to like catch up the same old doctor or the experienced doctor.
Yeah.
So we can't able to touch anything. Right?
It is true, actually. We can break down medical into, I think, 2 or 3 groups. The pharma side is way ahead because they're very good in their continuous process industry. The life sciences side is what I think is the challenge because there's so many variations that they need to manage. And the third one is the biomedical side. The biomedical side is mainly because of the volumes they have. They're not so great, and the stringent requirements they have is so much that the automation cost doesn't balance out their production costs. I have worked with some of the medical companies, and this has been the feedback. To match the standards, their clinical standards, if you have to match the medical standards, the cost of automation is really high. And because of their volumes, it's sometimes unsustainable for them. So they don't get into these kind of technology stuff. They still prefer manual stuff.
Right, actually. Yeah, I think Google has started some kind of the testing, right? Based on like eye retina to identify so what are the basic diseases are, so how is his health and everything based on AI.
Correct.
Based on some kind of the data points.
Yes.
You're true. So the same way, like based on the scan, suppose like a CT scan. So even after taking out, right, we have to go and wait for my own doctor. So is it something like actually one of my friend is a senior the radiology in AIMS. So he wants to do some kind of AI with this. So he is trying. So he now what are doing? He tried with the people then because there is a mismatch, right? We are engineers. We don't know the
domain knowledge. We don't have domain knowledge.
We don't. That's the main. That's why it's not going. So now what I heard from him that they started learning Python. They are Python, whatever it is. So they started learning and they want to implement because based on the domain they can do this AI to understand their scanning images and then everything. So that's one area still we are like lagging, I would say.
Well, I think there are people doing it. It's just the exposure levels are much lower. In Singapore, I know in some of the hospitals, majority of the cases, the what do you call the prognosis or the diagnosis, so to speak, is actually handled by systems. And then it goes to the doctor, and then the doctor looks at this and then calls the patient. So the initial diagnosis is already handled by machines. If you need people who can do this in India, I can get you some contacts who are doing this for neonatal kind of for that section. So one of my previous contacts actually is doing software which will define the feed rates for premature babies. So there is some collaboration they have with some of the local hospitals. So if you need, I could always connect you with those guys as well. Yeah.
Hey, Ram. Anthony, so it's the same line. So the 2 challenges I see in the medical industry, the one is the risk involved, and the second one is the adaptation. So I could say it is in the same phase of the other industry also growing. But I see the adaptation in the medical industry. It's a little lower compared to the other
Yes.
industry
Yes.
because of the risk.
Absolutely. It's yes. That is the fundamental fact. The risk is the one which is holding them back. Again, like I said, what would happen is they would go into tools which will benefit the doctors to arrive at a decision earlier. But I think the final decision will still have to be made by the doctors. I think that's the gap.
But also it's bound by the rules and regulations too, right? So that's
yes, the FDA or whoever it is, yes, they manage that.
Yep.
Correct. You cannot let the machine make a decision which will affect somebody's health. So yeah.
So at least the machine can make the options.
Yes, that is what I said. So the final decision should still be the doctors, but we can have a lot more enablers for doctors to arrive at that decision much quicker as compared to what they have today. That's something which I think there are quite a few people doing it.
That's happening. Yeah,
it's
I could say that, Ram. Yeah, so I'm part of the the life science and medical industry. We do the automation for them as a process and data, and the scanning report and providing some predictive analysis. But it's happening, as I said. The process and the risk involvement and adaptation is it's a higher in this medical industry. So transforming the complete digital, it's going to be little longer duration. Mechanical, so the manufacturing. So once the machine is having a enabler, so it could easily do that. And the other industry, it is easy to do that. The automation, the implementation of the 4.0. But medical industry, it takes a little longer time because the transformation takes longer time. Having a risk and process and approval and a lot of policy involved on that. It takes a little longer time.
Yep. I think the closest industry which we can relate to in that sense is the banking industry, which was very reluctant to move away from some of the technology stuff probably 5-10 years ago, right? So they are forced to change as well right now. So
now the last December, right? So I want to open one banking account for my mom. Okay, so I called up the HDFC Bank in my native. So they came to home. Then and then there is no application signature. There is no the hard copy or anything. So they came up with the machine and then everything. Already they came up with the checkbook all related, and then on they took the photo, and so the signature, digital signature kind of they have taken, and within 15 minutes it's been activated. At least so that much. So in the olden days, you just assume that SBI, if you want to open, you need one person to introduce you. Both have to go and meet the manager. You need to wait. The manager would be available only in the morning time, that to 10 to 11 or sometime.
Right.
You need to wait, and then the next day only you will get the a savings bank passbook. Then the one person would do the entry. So now these are all done.
Prabhu,
yeah,
that intro, the person who will give introduction, right? He will be like this Vadivelu. Okay, and I was see a lot of comments, right? People were saying how Ram is handling all these questions. So I thought, he's like Rahul Dravid. He will make the people who are asking questions, like the bowlers, he will make tired.
That's a good point of view.
Oh my God, that's a comparison which I didn't see coming.
So he put it in the chat.
Yeah, good one. It's a good one actually.
On the same line, I don't know if it was covered on the. I know you were talking about 5.0 and whatnot, right? But is there a financial impact on all the industries because of this pandemic in general? And are the companies investing on innovations and whatnot?
So
Like most of the industries I see is like they wanted to maintain business as usual, like, as far as the business is running, they're fine with it, but are they still spending on innovations and the adaptation that really amazes me coming from IT industry to see how it impacts medical, be it manufacturing, be it banking, right? But most of the projects, at least on the IT side, is on hold, or people are fast cutting down. But was it financial impact discussed earlier? Then I can see the recording if it is discussed already. But I was curious.
Not in those terms, but to answer you on that question is there is a financial impact on getting these things in right now, but the question always is if it is balanced with the business needs, then it becomes much more easier to get them through. So technology for the sake of technology is definitely, it's pointless. So but given situations like lack of manpower, if I'm going to get in, say, automated vehicles to move material around in the factory, because there is less manpower right now, that investment is definitely going to go through. So it's on a need basis, but it's not a blanket agreement to bring in 4.0 entirely into the factory. It's definitely on a need basis right now. I hope that answers your
question. Of course, it requires a lot of prioritization and whatnot, right?
Yes.
Based on the business goals, it requires a lot of prioritization.
Yes. So previously we used to get like 2 questions for business value before. Now we get 20 questions. So
true.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is based on ROI, right? If what it brings to the table at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing I anticipate the 5G technology is going to drive the the 4.0 the more faster, I could say that, and more mature, and the most of the industry going to adapt. That one thing I could anticipate because of the bandwidth and the data and the availability of the technology go live.
Right. Yep, I agree. Okay.
The audience, if you are not having any other questions, shall we move to the closing remarks?
Yeah, I think we have dragged quite a bit, right? I hope it's okay with you guys because,
that was quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a good topic, Ram. That's the reason a lot of the questions and a lot of things. Yeah, it's a very good one.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
By far the longest running discussion, I would say, for what it has been, life after lockdown series.
Okay, good.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ram.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Ram. This is Muruganandam. I couldn't ask much questions.
Hey,
I was actually doing some multitasking. Okay. Couldn't focus much. I'll get the recording and go over it.
As like in the classroom.
Yeah. There is some customer escalation. So
no problem.
Okay, guys. Yep. Nice talking
to
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Vasanth, shall I have the closing remarks, Vasanth?
Yes, sir. Thomas, please.
The Alumni Association is very proud to host Ramkumar sir from Molek, Singapore, 1994 to 98 Triple E batch. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and for being with us with a wonderful presentation. Really, you have made us proud. The entire Alumni Association is proud about you. And SREC is proud in sense like your first batch and you're the best outgoing student of our college. And we are able to note that all the first batch students are doing really wonderful. And really, after seeing the presentation and the question and answering sessions, really I understand that it is not only Ramkumar sir, the entire batch is capable to do such sessions. Thank you, 94-98 batch, for being with us.
Absolutely.
at the outset, I would like to thank the SNR Charitable Trust and SREC Engineering College and the Patron Principal for giving us a official licensed WebEX platform to go about with the webinar series. Thank you for that. We place on record the thanks for that WebEX online platform. And next in pipeline is we have webinar series number 8 from Mr. Dhanashekhar, 99-2003 mechanical. He is the trustee of a small trust called as Chittukuruvi Arakattalai. So he's the one who's behind saving sparrows. So he's about to talk about something nature, the good practices and missing sparrows. Next week, Sunday, 6 to 6:40 IST. I request all the audience to join for that. And to my note that SREC Alumni Association is happy to note that not only SREC Alumnus is available today, we have seen few others joining us too. That is because our alumnus working in different education institutions have requested the Alumni Association to accept the non-alumnus for this meeting. And we thank all those audience for being with us. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Hey, Thomas, Vasanth, I think you guys are doing an awesome job, getting this stuff done like this, It's bringing people together, and it's a lot of sharing sessions, which is really helpful for everyone. I mean, I'm more I'll be very happy if it helps people, across the board. Lot many people get in touch. If you're able to help more people, I think that'll be even more better. But both of you, I think you're doing a very good job at getting these webinar sessions out. Yep.
Thank you. Actually, for record, we both are actually mailing you, but we have a wonderful team with us. We have a wonderful executive committee with us. We have chapters across the globe: Chennai, Bangalore, Europe, US, and Singapore. Of course, it was in pipeline. And at this juncture, I would like to thank Padma Shri for really roping in ISR and Ramkumar sir for this webinar series. Thank you, Padma Shri. And really, Ramkumar sir, on record, already 4 people have asked your contacts. And really, we wanted a permission from you to actually exchange the contacts. And offline, I'll come and request you for this.
Sure, no problem.
Thomas and Vasanth. Yeah, this is Aya from Singapore. Just one simple request. Yeah,
Yes.
Can you take the presentation from Ramkumar with this permission? Then you can share in this some kind of form so that the young parties can get some knowledge out of it.
Definitely, sir. Sir, we request Ramkumar sir if
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ram, it will be helpful for the young people who are
absolutely.
coming up.
There's nothing proprietary there, and I don't hold any. So I mean, it'll be great if I'll be able to share. I actually thought that information is not very detailed because I didn't know how much of details to get into. But if this helps, I will definitely share. There's no problem.
It's okay. These are good points. They really help for them.
Absolutely.
Lot anyway. Yeah. Thanks,
And
Ram.
also this video will also be available on our official website, sir.
Yeah, that we are seeing it, but of course, I'm talking about the presentation slide itself.
Yes, sir.
Separate.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ram. Thanks, Alumni Association. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. I'm actually very happy to meet so many people from a batch, actually. I mean, it's a good platform to meet, I guess. Yeah. So are we, anything else? I think we're done, right? Thomas?
Absolutely, it's done. And probably you have your batch something you just fixed it. Oh.
Sorry, what was that?
No, officially it's all done. So your batch discussion, something needs to be carried out.
No. I think we will have that in a separate session. We don't want to hold you guys, actually.
We'll have a separate session.
Yeah,
I think the recording can be stopped and the discussion can continue.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So,
Vasanth, Thomas, can you just share the recording later to me as well?
Definitely, sir.
Thanks.
In a couple of days, it will be shared, sir.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Thank you. And 94-98 batch, an offline request. So I could see a number of guest speakers available in you. The standard of questions what you have put up shows that you're capable of doing much more webinar series. And Tangamalar ma'am and all others, I am not able to name Surya sir. Definitely will come to you with a request to have the webinar lecture series. Thank you for that in advance.
Oh my God! Next time onwards, no questions. Huh?
You are the speaker, you don't need to have the, you don't need to answer.
Okay, that was really nice one, Thomas and Vasanth. Keep more webinars coming in. You can expand Ram's presentation to your to the current students, as ma'am was telling. No, it was a very good
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Yeah.
Thank you. Good night. Stay safe.